Okay, since JFK's death, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories about how it happened. Um, did you ever see any of these, or maybe agree with any of them, or do you have an opinion on who did it?
I don't have an opinion because I think anybody who wants a conspiracy can find a conspiracy. The guy is dead.
All right. Do you have any specific memories about the Cold War? Maybe about how that affected everyone's life?
Not really. And I don't know why. I mean, Russia was the bad ones, we were the good ones. But how did. No.
All right. What was your reaction to the Cuban Missile Crisis?
It was not as strong as Bob's, no.
How do you remember learning about it or monitoring it?
What year was the Cuban Missile Crisis? How far was that from the promise of Kennedy to help the rebels, and then he crapped out?
I believe the Cuban Missile Crisis was 1962, and I don't remember what year the Bay of Pigs was. But it was obviously before.
I don't remember the Cuban Missile Crisis impacting on me at all.
Okay. Do you remember maybe what your reaction was to when you learned that Russia had the atomic bomb too? Were you scared or?
That Russia what?
That Russia also had the atomic bomb.
No, I just figured everybody was going to get it.
Alright.
And the more people who had it, the better. Even though some might be nuts, but...
Yeah, why is that?
Why is my reaction? Or some people might be nuts?
Well, I know a lot of people would think that maybe it's not better for more countries to have it, just because it's so dangerous.
Well, if you could pick out only your friends to have it, but that's that's absurd.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it would be better if none of them had it, but
Sure.
second best is let everyone have it.
And what was your opinion on McCarthyism and Joseph McCarthy?
Oh, McCarthyism was such a blight on our history, this drunken... but he could not have succeeded in all that he did without at least decent, or supposedly decent people keeping quiet. What is the expression? All it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to stay quiet.
Who did you believe was staying quiet?
Pardon me?
What do you mean by that? Who?
Well, it seems to me that McCarthy was a nut job who was a drunk, who wanted, his own place. He didn't want his own place in the sun. He wanted the entire sun. And please don't tell me that professional politicians didn't realize that and come out against his extremism, his simply, asking, were you ever?
Right.
If somebody can't be a nutty liberal in high school and college, when can they ever?
Did you have an opinion on the Vietnam War? Were you ever against it?
No, and that's honestly because I didn't bother to find out about it. That's my fault.
Do you remember seeing people protest about it, or Just anybody that you knew, or just
No, no, and that's the sad part about it.
and did you feel that it was similar to the Korean War, or from what you knew?
That's a good question, Nick, and I'm not sure of the answer. I don't know. Because I think I also realized that the press coverage was not, good.
And what was the press coverage? Like, how would you have followed either of the wars?
Well, I mean, what was our excuse for going into Vietnam? I don't know. Maybe I didn't have as much time then, but I still had the same sort of IQ. I don't know why we went into it. Can't avoid the fact that, some people felt it was, especially the military, who I must admit are always educated to fight. I don't know.
What was your reaction to Sputnik, and what did you think about the space race?
Oh, I thought that was great. I'm sorry we weren't the first ones, but every once in a while we need a knock on the head.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember ever feeling scared, or seeing or having people you knew say that they were scared after Sputnik?
No.
Mm-hmm.
We were young. We were just mad. Why would you worry about Sputnik? I'm not sneering at you. Trying to put it in perspective.
Okay, and now, what would you say are the top 3 events in your lifetime that shaped American history?
The top 3 events in my history that what?
In the top 3 events in your lifetime that shaped American history.
Shaped American history. Well, I'd have to say Lyndon Johnson and civil rights and Medicare. I'm trying to think of other people, and I didn't necessarily have a vote for Johnson, but I'm trying to. President Obama with the Affordable Care Act, and the fact that he was the first half-black person. I wish I could say that shaped American history, but I think we're going backwards in racism. Top 3. Obviously winning World War II and then rebuilding all of Europe. And Europe, of course, has Affordable Care Act, National Health Care Act, and we don't. I mean, we do now, but.
What about specific people in your lifetime?
Specific people?
That also shaped American history the most?
Yeah. Well, again, it's got to be Lyndon Johnson, as I say, somebody I didn't agree with, and top 3 people. A conservative Buckley, who made conservatism seem possible and then impossible. Top 3 people. Can't think of a third one.
All right, that's okay. What about 3 events in your lifetime that were highly overrated? This is the one that we wrote for Bob.
Highly overrated. Woodstock, since I never got there and Chris wanted to. Highly overrated. To my mind, any sort of Grateful Dead concerts, because that wasn't my kind of music, and I don't know. Can't think of another.
All right. Any specific people that you thought were highly overrated?
Where do I start? Well, Trump was not highly overrated. He was correctly rated. People highly overrated? Yes, Mike Pence, the vice president. Paul, who the heck is the head of, Paul what? What's his last
Paul
name?
Ryan?
Yes, Paul Ryan, highly overrated. I mean, this is all present day. And Mitch
Yeah.
McConnell.
All right.
And that's being polite, calling him highly overrated.
I'm actually kind of backtracking here. You mentioned we forgot to talk about 9/11. So
Yeah, isn't
how
that
did-
interesting? We haven't talked about 9/11 at all, how
yeah, I think
hideous and horrible.
yeah. How did you learn about it? What was your reaction?
Well, how I learned about it was on TV or the radio, and I remember calling Megumi, who lived in Scarsdale, but Mark worked in the Wall Street area, and telling her, put the radio on. And then the next day or so, or within a couple of days, I had to go down to NYU Hospital for some sort of x-ray or something. And that's where the coroner's office, the chief coroner's office is. And going down there and on lamppost after lamppost, seeing pictures of people. Have you seen this person? As horrible as 9/11 was, and it was, the explosions and stuff, the next few days of seeing people's pictures on there, and I think even now only half of the bodies that were not immediately identifiable have been. That was that was much more the interaction afterwards. The horror of what happened was awful and big, but day after day, when you saw people looking for their relatives who had been killed in that was.
Well, again, this is sort of backtracking a bit, but you and Bob both mentioned a lot about rock and roll in the highly overrated category.
It was loud. That's why it was overrated. When I would come in the house, the kids say, "Oh, Mom's here, turn them down." It was. I am auditorially very sensitive, but no.
What did you think of? What did you think of Elvis? Because we know what Bob thought.
Didn't think of him too much, but he was an entertainer.
And what did you think about the Beatles?
I thought that they were a phenomenon that defied the commercial music people, and they deserve their fame. Some of their songs I liked, but.
And do you remember how it was that you first learned about it, or when did you
from
really
my
realize?
kids.
When did you
And
really
how could you forget a title like "We All Lived in a Yellow Submarine"?
Yeah. Do you remember when it was like you first maybe made up your mind that I don't like this, or why it was?
When I made up my mind that I didn't
You're like,
like.
Was it like when you first heard it? Was it something that you just knew you didn't like, or was it something?
No, it was kind of interesting. A little loud if you turn the volume down. It was very listenable.
Right.